Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 521 of the DrunkNerds Podcast. I'm your host, always. I'm Tyler. And joining me, we have the Celestial, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Well, I'll tell you what's been up, man. It's like, this has been my vacation week. I initially went through with Extra Life and did that stuff, but this week has been more or less like a catch up to not only get my sleeping schedule back and organized and stuff, but it's been predominantly doing like little tasks like around the house and also predominantly playing God of War 2018 still. And holy shit, I've been playing a bunch of it. But speaking of things, I do have some news in regards to like throughout little bits of what's been happening this week. Obviously, in the mail, I got my God of War Ragnorak controller.
Oh! Come on, grab mine. Savesies!
I know, right? That came in and stuff. I know yours was still coming in the mail and stuff like that. I send you the message over Instagram. It's like, hey, look what I got. It's like, oh, hey, it looks nice.
Yeah, I got mine Wednesday afternoon. So
yeah, and also to add to that, though, I got this.
Nice.
Well, here's what happened. Yesterday, I decided to stop by Walmart because, for one, I wanted to double check something. I wanted to see whether if they had the game inside, because sometimes upon releases and stuff, they may not have it on the release day, but they try to get it in at least during the next couple of days after because of their staff. So I go in, they had 2 copies for the PS5 left. So I bought that, and immediately I canceled the order that I had on Amazon, and I switched it to Pokemon Scarlet.
Cool. Very cool.
But at the same point, I know it's been eating a hole in me not starting this game right at this moment. Actually, I have stopped going onto YouTube because every time I go onto YouTube, there's always some sort of thumbnail or there's always some sort of things that look like people are playing a hell of a lot of God of War Ragnarok, and I'm like, fuck, I am not going on to YouTube and watching random videos, because as soon as I go onto my subscription things, you have predominant YouTubers that I follow. It's like, I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. Yeah. So like guys like Moist Critical or Maximilian Dude or something like that, or even like some of the other thing. Some other YouTubers are going to be starting things up, like say Misclick and all these other people. Yeah. I want to be off of YouTube so that way I can go forth and play it when I'm damn well ready. And I'll tell you what, I will be damn well ready after I finish up with God of War 2018, which here's the update for it. I've beaten the game. I mean, ever since Extra Life, when I literally played this one game for 24 hours, I have been wanting to play it more. I beat the initial game. Actually, after I did that, I took a day off of playing anything. And then the next day, I came back because I felt like I still wanted to play more God of War. So my initial thing was, okay, you know what? There's something I wanted to do inside of it. I'm going to go after the Valkyries. And at this point, I've had it at my normal, not the normal difficulty and stuff. So I started to go bit by bit, see if I can find some of these Valkyries. I came across the first one, like Gunnar. I think that was her name. And that's like over inside of like the Frost Mountains and stuff, like the mountains and stuff where like Thumar and stuff like that, the big old giant that's dead and his corpse and stuff. So I go over to there, I face off against this Valkyrie and stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, this is definitely something that's more reminiscent to what I've been playing inside of Elden Ring earlier on this year, to where this is a challenge. This definitely does take plenty of skill in order to not only recognize the patterns of what they do, but each individual Valkyrie has different types of attacks or different types of like parryable stuff. Let me tell you this. Long story short, I started off with 1 Valkyrie, then I beat 2 inside of Midgar. I have beaten all 9 of these fucking Valkyries.
Very nice.
And I'll tell you what, as soon as I got to the one not in Muspelheim, I actually beat the one in Muspelheim. Going through, I beat the Valkyrie inside Muspelheim when I went to Nilheim. and the toxic, like the freaking poisonous gas, and
Yes.
going
Yeah.
through all the different, collecting the mist echoes for each and every little thing, just try to farm that so I can unlock the rifts and stuff like that, and get the dust realm stuff and this and that. It took me about a good solid day or two to actually go and beat this Valkyrie in general on the normal difficulty, because I had to go forth and navigate that maze. Granted, it wasn't the most difficult, but I had to literally farm different enemies and different mist echoes in order to upgrade my armor to the extent that I could survive longer inside of the mist itself. But after I did that, facing off against her, and I lost maybe like 2 or 3 times against this Valkyrie in and of itself, I'm like, you know what? I have to make some sort of change to this. So I actually put it on the difficulty from normal to story mode in that regards. When I did that and stuff like that, yeah, the baseline enemies, they were not like leveling up to like my level or something like that, like a balanced sort of gameplay s type of things. No, it actually made it a much more fun for me, because now I'm actually can go forth, take out the main enemies that have been killing me, even though I'm literally up to their level.
Yeah.
Like I literally levels above them, right? But they're level scaling toward, like, with me. So I was having a fun time going through collecting mist and stuff. That's actually how I got out of the Nilheim stuff. Was I changed the difficulty level. I was able to farm some echoes. I was finally able. It did take me a couple tries, mind you. I was able to beat the Valkyrie over inside of Nilheim. After that, though, I went through and defeated all the ones inside of across Midgar, like a Muspelheim, Nilheim, like Helheim and stuff, and Alfheim and stuff. So all of those Valkyries and stuff, and then comes the queen of the Valkyries. Let me tell you something. Just because I lowered down the difficulty, you would think, oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is going to make this boss like kind of a walk in the park and stuff like that, right? And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, well, let's see what happens. No, it's not a walk in the park, even on the easiest difficulty. This boss is quintessentially one of the toughest in the entire game, even tougher than, say, like the quote-unquote final boss of this game.
I think it's supposed to be the toughest fight in the entire game is the final Valkyrie.
Yes, absolutely it is. It took me around 2 hours to go forth and beat this boss. And this was last night. And let me tell you something, Tyler. I have played my fair share of games. I spent close to 100 hours inside of Elden Ring. Went through all the different bosses. Hell of a hard time going through some of the more predominant ones. This Queen of the Valkyries, it was on that level of some like Dark Souls style bosses in that regards. And the thing about it was, this Queen of the Valkyries incorporates multiple different attacks from the other Valkyries. I mean, this is quintessentially like the ultimate type of Valkyrie, to where it's doing fire attacks, it's doing ice attacks, it's doing these flawed lunges and stuff like that.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's doing a little bit of everything. You have literally a split second to avoid her, like, going up in the air and all of a sudden just pouncing on you and just going right to the boot to the face. I do like how when you start this boss fight, right, Kratos goes to go forth and like go into like the rift and stuff to try to grab the thing out of the rift, and as immediately as he tries doing that, here she comes out of the freaking rift and stuff, and just grabs him by the freaking face and starts dragging him across the ground. Like, holy crap. But much like the Valkyrie inside of Muspelheim, it took me a bit, but I had to literally concentrate my entire concentration on not only the boss patterns, but actually kept in check like oh my gosh, all the different types of things that I had to keep track of, like how much my rage meter was going up, how much like of a cooldown one of my attacks was going. There's this attack that Kratos does, right, where if you equip this specific rune on and stuff, if you hold L1 and then press R1 and stuff, there's this specific type of ice attack that it'll shoot like an ice beam or something at your enemies, right? And it will just whittle down a lot of their health points and stuff like that. So I got to a point where when that boss battle started, I would do that and do this ice beam, and it would actually get close to about 2 bars off of it, give or take. Like Atreus using this like a freaking wolf pack attack and stuff, and his freaking bolt arrows and stuff. And holy shit, dude! I mean, this was an endurance run facing off against that final boss. I mean, I had it on story difficulty, right? And I was naive to think, oh, okay, this is not going to be too bad. I'm going to go
Yeah.
forth and do
Just
this and
hack
do
and
that.
slash, you're done. Yeah.
But no, that thing was bullshit. I mean, absolutely. And that's the thing, though. Keeping track on what she was going to do was difficult because sometimes she'll do this, like the swooping attack where she'll do it like maybe 2 or 3 times. But if you don't keep track, like say target her or something with a target cursor or something like that, you will not see her do that because she moves so quickly sometimes that it breaks the targeting thing, and I can't go forth and concentrate on her as she's swooping down. And so randomly, of course, I'm getting like drugged to the ground or something like that, or I'm just a split second too slow, and she comes from above and starts stomping my face, and oh my gosh, though. But after a while, I did end up going and beating her. I had to get a resurrection stone from Brock and Sindri because this is that type of fight to where there's a reason why the game developers only wanted you to have one at a time, and it's because they didn't want you to cheese it to where, hey, you could beat every boss in the game if you have multiple different resurrection stones or whatever the hell type of thing. But I will say, yes, I did beat all the Valkyries. I did beat the Queen Valkyrie. I got that trophy unlocked from doing that shit. But the funniest part about this game, though, is like I've been going through every single little bit of every area in this regards. I'm starting getting that feeling where if I love a game and I've played through it to an extent, I want to get everything out of it. I want to unlock and like collect everything in that regards because that's how my mind works sometimes. Last time I had that type of extent, oh boy, it's been a while, but at least over a year since I've actually had this type of feeling. But let me tell you something. Right now, I am over, let's see, I have 100% at Muspelheim. I've done all the trials, every trial. Let's see, which one was it? Like Nilheim, I did everything for there. I unlocked every rift, unlocked every type of like chests and stuff like that. Alfheim and stuff, like the 3 realms I've just mentioned, I've 100%ed all 3 of those.
So you got Midgard left then?
I have Midgard left, yes. And Helheim, it took me a little bit though, but I 100%ed that as well. Not too much left when I went through it initially. And so that just leaves Helheim. And with Helheim, I am close to about 85% done. And that means I have all the Valkyries and like all the other things, that's done, right? And so I have like I have one more task left, like one more favor or some of that sort. I have to find one more shop. I have to free one more dragon. I need to find 9 more of the Odin Ravens. And let's just say that I'm keeping tabs of everything, though. But I will say this, though. The experience of going through the Valkyries, the whole thing about, like, not only just the end of the game in and of itself, the story mode and all this and that and stuff, finishing off with, like, finishing Brock Sindri's, like, various stuff, that was friggin' awesome, in my honest opinion. I have been glued. I've been keeping tabs, like, when I get stuck inside of the games and stuff, I have my YouTube app right, but I just type in, like, what type of area it is and stuff, and I've been following the kind of like a playthrough list on that because I want to collect everything. I want to just find the rest of the Jotun shrines, which I only have like 2 left now. And it's fun insight because as much knowledge as I'm getting out of it, I'm going to be even more inclined when I'm starting Ragnarok. So it's like I'm getting the most out of this game that I should have a long time ago, but at the same time, I'm getting it done. I'm almost completely finished with the game, and I am probably going to give it probably like another day, maybe like another day or 2 or something like that. See if like I get everything else complete, and then it's going to be quickly on to Ragnarok and stuff like that. But other than this whole God of War tangent and stuff that I'm on, because I am just so fucking stoked that I am nearly done with this game and stuff. Tyler, how have you been doing?
That was all day. We're still in intro, so yeah. I'm doing okay. I've had the last few days off. I got because Extra Life, it just kind of everything kind of timed out perfectly for me with Extra Life last Saturday, and then I was gonna have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then like wait, God of War Ragnarok's coming out on Wednesday. Well, I'm just gonna switch to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I've been doing all right. We're already in it. We're gonna keep the God of War tangent going.
Well.
13 seconds, 7 minutes, 38 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long it took me to beat God of War Ragnarok.
Wait. Repeat that, please.
13 seconds, 7 minutes, and 38 hours.
You fucking beat this game already. 38 hours you put into the damn thing.
Gables, I want to just point out something. I just realized 3 beers in that I didn't eat dinner because I've been playing God of War Ragnarok for 4 straight fucking days. Today was by far the least healthy. It's been getting kind of shitty out. Weather's pretty bad, so it's like Wednesday, Thursday is pretty nice. So it wasn't like I was still going out taking I don't want to say his name. I was letting him out, and we were going for WALKs. And the last couple of days has been like, well, it's like 25 degrees out and windy, so I'm just stuck inside now. So I guess we're not going to be doing any outdoor activities. So here we go. I have finished God of War Ragnarok, and I didn't mean to. It wasn't the plan. I literally beat it about 30 minutes before we hopped on the computer here, or before I hopped on.
Oh my god, dude, that's amazing.
Where should I start? God of War 2018 is my favorite game of all time. I've been talking about that for a long time. I talked about it last January 2021. I did a playthrough again on New Game Plus of God of War 2018, and I was like, I'm here to say that God of War 2018 is my favorite game of all time, and like that's been my thing. I'm like, I don't know how they top it. I don't know how they do it. It's been over 4.5 years since that game left on a cliffhanger. And I was just like, I don't know how where do you go from here? That game is just pure. I mean, it's just the top of line story, top line production, top line acting, top line everything. Like it's just the best of the best to me. And Ragnarok blows it out of the fucking water. This game just starts on a fucking high and just goes up, and it just never stops. It starts, boom. Much like with The Stranger, we've later on found out is Boulder at the beginning of God of War 2018.
Yeah.
It starts like that, but times 10. And that's what it starts. And it just keeps going up from there.
Well, I know I've been anticipating sort of that because well, that's the thing. That's been with the trailer for like God of War Ragnarok starting off with. But that's the thing though. If you go back to the house, like say, and you have that off in the rest, Thor. It goes into that thing where you see Thor and stuff first thing. So that's been like common knowledge though. But at the same time, I do agree that that's definitely a fucking high to start off with.
Yeah. So you start there. I also did the secret ending in this game as well. There is one. Some minor spoilers, I guess, for that. But I think most people assume that based off the last game. But yeah, I don't know if you want to be like. Usually I have like cliff notes of like things I want to talk about when I play a game, and I was just like, I don't even know where the fuck to start. These games are hard to talk about because this game is so. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody because this game is so story heavy. But to kind of like, I mean,
So the story stuff aside and stuff like that, are you going through and exploring things?
Oh, Gables, I did almost everything.
What? Seriously?
I'm not okay. I am not the collectible guy. I know you are. That's not really my thing. Now, to be fair, I found the majority of them, but I'm not like the guy that's gonna like. I'm gonna look at the map, see what I'm missing, and like go find it or like that. That's just not for me. That's like just the time. Like, but like I'm more of like I'll do it as I'm going through the areas. Like I'm definitely like I'm doing all the side quests. I've done all the side quests for like 2 that you can do in the main game. There's some in-game content you can do afterwards as well.
Okay.
There is like a kind of like the Valkyrie style thing. I don't want to spoil what it is. There is a Valkyrie type thing though, where there's X amount of enemies, you got to kill them all side content. There are some other things, and that's like there's like a couple things like that, but like yeah, like I said, as I would get to a new area, I would explore everything. I would go around to every little nook and cranny, and I do all the side quests, and like I do all the things I'd see, or like you're like on a boat, and like I go all the docks, just like I did in the first game.
Right.
And like that's kind of how I am. I'm not gonna just gonna like, okay, well I missed 6 chests, I'm gonna go back. That's just not for me. I don't find. I mean, I know a lot of people like you, and a lot of people they love that shit. That's just that's even like back in the collectathon stuff. That's never vibed with me. But I love all the like side bosses. I love all the side quests. Like, dude, the side quests in this game are fucking phenomenal. Like, I implore you, like, some of the side quests in this game are on par, production wise, story wise, to like learning about these characters, on par with the main game itself. One of the first ones you do, like, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a whale involved, and I fucking adore it. Like, I think it's really important too, because a lot of these side quests are dealing with the past of the characters in the game. And,
I see.
Like, you're learning, like, I've learned so much about so many backstories about a lot of these characters, and about like who they were beforehand, and like kind of like just trying to make amends for some of them are like making amends for things. Some are like just trying to like I don't want to say anymore. I don't want to spoil anything. But like the side quests are better than most games. Like, I would argue better than a lot of like main story games, like content I've ever played. And like there's like the ones that you know, like you know, find 9 of these things, or find like there's a few of those in there, but like I mean there's more than a few. There's probably a dozen, but like there's like I would say like 10 side quests that are like they're must plays. Like they should just be a part of the storyline. I can't believe they're not. There's like one of the and I can't believe how big the worlds are. So I've been to all the realms. And that's not spoilers. They said that all 9 realms are playable in the game.
Good.
Some are like smaller areas. I don't want to spoil. Like Muspelheim is
okay.
So
Muspelheim
is still a challenge level world.
Okay.
So
makes sense.
But it's hard. I think I might have broke my PS5, my new God of War controller doing the Muspelheim shit, dude. It's intense, it's hard, and it's time consuming, but it's good. It's fun. Like, yeah, there's a couple of worlds like that are smaller, like they're like, you know, you don't have a lot to do in them. Like, or like there's a lot to do, but they're like there's not a lot of like it's not explorable areas. And there's a few areas that are fucking like they're like on the level, like, so everything in the first game 2018, everything always kind of led back to the Lake of the Nine.
Yep.
So like and like that was like the big open world, and then there's all the other realms you go to, and they're all kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
That's not the case in this game. There's multiple realms that are on scale, if not bigger, than the Lake of the Nine. Multiple of them. Yes. And it's fucking wild. I don't even know if I'm sure like I said, I've done the majority of all the realms I've been in, but I know I missed some shit. But yeah, like I said, the side quest shit is phenomenal. The gameplay, it's like someone played Doom, and it's like, let's make an action adventure game version of that. And this is what we got Ragnarok out of it. It is like, I talk about Doom 2016 was my favorite first-person shooter game of all time. This is that, but in a, I don't know what you want to call it, melee style action role play. I don't know what you want to call it, but if that style of game, this is that. Like, it is phenomenal. The way all of like the battles, like the way like you can combine all your like runes together, and they changed the way like because I thought in the first game it was a little bit overwhelming sometimes, like all of like all your your armor and shit like that, and you can put the runes on them. That's gone. They've changed it. They've rearranged it. So now it's not as cumbersome as much, but like you can like, you can add like special attacks to your weapons and shit like that. And you start off right away with the fucking chains, which are awesome. And they are like, I never really used them after like you really had to in like the first game. In this game, I would still say I probably use the axe the majority of the time, but in this game, like I kept wanting to go back to them. I was having so much fun with the chains in this game that I just kept wanting to use them. They've done so much more, like it's so much more fluid now, where like I'm like mixing and matching my attacks, all my special attacks I can do, and like you can add like you can add runes like to make things a little bit better for you. And it's like I love like you can like, it's kind of like in like something on Dune 2016 where like you can see all the chess moves as you're going. Right. And I haven't played a game that's done that since until Ragnarok, where I feel like you get to an arena, you get to an area where there's a fight, and it's like, okay, if I do this, I could swing across. Like, and they added like a thing. Now you could swing with the chains across areas, which just adds even more mobility to like the worlds and the fights itself. And like the way everything just flows together, it's like I can like, all right, I'm gonna go here, do this, go here, chain this there, do this, use a special tech, boom, area effect damage, all that, level all the shit up. Like I did like the Muspelheim stuff. I went in, I leveled up, I maxed out all of my gear, I maxed out everything like except for like there's levels to like I don't know what I gotta do to get all the levels to the level up the Leviathan axe. That's the one thing I'm missing, is like I'm one level short on that one. Because you gotta like find like the chaos flames or something like that. You
know what? Just putting a little bit of pause on that one for a moment and stuff like that. I know in the original, like say God of War 2018 and stuff, I had the exact same problem, and that what I ended up doing was just going to like a Brock and Sindri and stuff like that, and up buying the. I think I did something to where I collected some bit and stuff that I kind of unlocked that buying option for like that specific item that you need in order to like level up your Leviathan axe to the maximum level. But that could be the case for this game. It may not be. But
no, because in the first game you had to like you get all of them, but the last level by playing through the main game, and then like you got the last level for the chains by defeating the Valkyrie in the Muspelheim. That's how you get the last level for the chain. I can't remember what you had to do in the last level. Oh, you had to go to the Niflheim to get the last level for the Leviathan axe, I believe. I think. I could be wrong on that one. But like I said, I've done like I maybe I missed some side quests that you can like unlock throughout, but like I've done all the ones except for two that like at a certain point I was like one world today where I spent. Gables, I'm not lying to you, man. Like I got up at 6:30 this morning, let dogs out, got the birds up, made some coffee, sat down, started playing. About 6:45, 6:50. I looked down. It was 12:30.
Oh shit!
And I've just been doing side shit in this one world, and I'm like, I gotta move on. like I literally just sat there for nearly 6 straight hours, and I'm not kidding. Like maybe got to pee a few times, and that was it. And I'm like, I need to like do something. So like that's like so I put the game down for a couple hours. I went and did some shit, and then came back in and just kind of like ended up like next thing I know I'm like in the point of, like you get to that point, the part of the game where it's like this is the point of no return type thing, and I'm like okay, and then like I wasn't like I said I wasn't meaning to beat the game, but I was like well I'm here, so
might as well try it.
I gotta do it. I gotta know. It's kind of that weird thing where like it's like I never felt this way since like probably like Mass Effect 3 and like this type of game where like there's definitely games where like I just want to know what happens, but like as far as a game that has like that open world, like that openness aspect to it where you can just deep dive into all shit. But like remember Mass Effect 3, like I just so badly wanted to know what happened, but also I at the same time I love playing this game. Like I love the gameplay of this game, but also I want to do the side content in this game. Right. Where it's like there's that inner battle in you where it's like I gotta know everything, I gotta do everything, but also I need to hurry up and beat this game because I want to know what the fuck happens. Unfortunately, Mass Effect 3 did not hit that landing. God of War Ragnorak hit that fucking landing and blew out of the goddamn water. It's like it's that weird fight in me the whole fucking way through, where I just kept wanting like, oh, what's that over there? I want to go over there, check that out. Oh, okay, what's that over there? I'm like, well, fuck, I want like, okay, well, this awesome story moment just happened. I want to happen, and oh my god, the not to spoil, I'm not spoiling anything, but to talk about the story and like the characters, I love how like they did such a great job of like everybody had their moment in this game. Brock,
Okay.
Sindri, Freya, Kratos, Atreus, Tyr, Mimir, and not just one, several of just standout moments. Brock is the MVP of this fucking game. He made me laugh. I'd shit you not, no less than 15 times. This game is one of the funniest games of all time. And not in like it's not a comedy. It's just the way they talk and interact. There's a fucking talking squirrel that's voiced by Troy Baker. I found out in the credits.
What?
Yeah. And it sounds stupid, but he's fucking awesome. He's incredible. And every time I got a chance to talk to the guy, I had a big smile on my fucking face. I'm like, I love this fucking guy. I could sit and listen to this guy talk for hours. And like, I would sit there and like, every time I get to like an area and like, they'd have like the characters have a side conversation where like you can roam around, you don't have to listen. I would stand there and just eavesdrop on every conversation. I wanted to know everything they're talking about. I wanted to hear everything they were saying. I didn't want to miss anything in this game. I read all the lore as I was finding it. I wanted to know everything that was happening. And I fucking adored every goddamn second of it. This game made me laugh more than probably any other game has made me laugh. And I don't know how long, maybe ever. Maybe it's like since probably like Jazz Punk, maybe. That was like 2016. This game made me cry more than any game has ever made me cry. There's so many beautiful moments in this game. And a lot of it's not even like the voice acting and what they're saying. It's just like Kratos is like, he says so little with his voice, but the way the animation, Christopher Judge, who plays Kratos, who did like all the motion capture and the voice for him, the way they animate it, the way he does it is like, it is, like I said, he doesn't say a lot with his voice, but his face just says so fucking much. And like just looking at his face and the acting, like the way they acted in all this, like the like I said, the facial animation, all that is like I was just like eyes glued to the screen, jaws dropping, just shocked at how beautiful these moments were. And like just with no talking, just subtle like things with their hand, with their face, with just like the animation of all this, and like blown away. Like if you don't vibe with 2018, I understand it's not everybody's game, but if anybody ever says that game's it's a bad game, I won't listen to you. Your opinion's invalid to me. You know, like Elden Ring, I don't like Elden Ring. I will never say it's a bad game. It just doesn't vibe with me. But this isn't hyperbole. This isn't like I'm living in the moment. This is the greatest game of all time. And spoiler alert, it's my game of the year. And everything is just fighting for number 2. So when we do game of the year, the real question is, what's Tyler's number 2 game of the year? Because I'm telling you right now, Ragnarok, and I never say it. I have to spoil it for you now. 6 weeks out. There's still like a half dozen more games I want to play this year. But Ragnarok is number 1 with a bullet. And if anything can top it for game of the generation, oh my God. Unless it's not whatever they do next. Yeah. Everybody needs to play this game. It is the pinnacle of video games. From production value, voice acting, gameplay, story, open world, everything, like nothing it feels wasted in this game. And this game is huge. Like I said, I put 38 hours into it. And I could, there's probably like, if I wanted to do all the collectibles and everything like that, probably another 20. But probably less than that, probably like 10. But like I am, it's not gonna be right now, but eventually I do want to go back and play and do like the in-game content and the side content. So yeah.
Well, that was well said. I mean,
Thank you.
absolutely. Makes me much more look forward to this game after I complete God of War 2018, which
Yeah.
isn't too far away. And I know I'm going to be starting Ragnarok fairly soon.
I
Because that's
yeah.
the thing, man. It's like, here's part of the reason why that I am purposely am distancing, like, say, me playing Ragnarok with, say, like, the next release, like Pokemon Scarlet, is because if these two came in at the same time, delivered, like, say, let's say, for example, that if I had kept the listing, like this overall thing for God of War Ragnarok on Amazon, and that came in like the same day as Pokemon Scarlet, I would have ignored one or the other, probably,
Mm,
until the other one was done. And so, because Pokemon Scarlet for me isn't coming in until like close to the end of the month, because of that stuff, I am fine not playing it release day as long as I play through Ragnarok first. Because I need some sort of blow off after all of this fucking God of War, dude. It's awesome. I've loved going through, but at least with what I'm doing right now, I am enjoying every fucking moment.
yeah. Um man, it's so weird. It's like I'm in a weird mental spot right now where I've waited over 4.5 years to play this game, and in 4 days I beat it, and it's like I don't I'm happy, like I don't regret doing that, like because I don't know if I do it my normal state where like I maybe get a couple hours in the week and then like have to like play a shit ton during the weekend, um it would have been a lot, like I would have probably mainlined it a lot more than I wanted to. So I'm really happy having these 4 days off to do it, to play this game and just sit down, no distractions, no anything other than my dog who I love very much. Um, but yeah, this is gonna be like a weekend I'll never forget. Like this like 4 days off, just sit around and play God of War Ragnarok. There's
Dude,
like I know it's video games, it's whatever, but like to me, it's like this
it
is gonna
meant
be one of my
something
all
to you.
yeah, this is gonna be one of my all time favorite, like obviously like personal like real life things. It won't go up there, but like for like just memorable, fun, exciting things, like this will be one of my favorite weekends of all time. And like I'll always have like this weekend of like just playing the greatest game of all time for 4 straight fucking days.
Dude,
Um, yeah,
it's one of those moments where you will remember it, not just 5 years, not just 10 years, maybe like 20 years from now, and just remote, it's like, yeah, when people speak about God of War Ragnarok in hindsight, it's like, yeah, you know what? I played that game when that released, and I spent 4 fucking days straight playing that, and blah blah
yeah,
blah. You're going to be saying that to your fucking kids or for your
yeah,
grandkids or whatever the fuck.
yeah. Well, like when the PlayStation 12's out, they're probably like, this game looks like shit. So like, I can't even imagine. They'd be playing with this controller. It's like, how did you play with these things? This is, ugh.
The
Um,
controller. Why can't I just use my hands with VR?
yeah, really, or yeah, like it really be like the Back to the Future 2 thing, where like
Oh my god.
yeah, that really happened. So
Yeah.
yeah, this I can't wait to talk to you about it, Gables.
Okay.
When you play through it. But oh my god, I don't. I'm just like I'm in that I'm like I said, I'm in that weird mental space where it's like when you finish like a really good TV show, and there's just like that empty feeling in a little bit where like you've just like this is like you just been like all your free time has been dedicated to like watching this show, and then you finish
There's
it and you're just like
there's that void.
yeah, and there's like that and it's like I sat there, I watched I didn't fast forward to the credits, I just sat there and I
Well,
was
let me
just
tell you.
like wow.
Let me tell you something, Tyler. Throughout the entire time that I've played video games, there has been only a handful to where at the very end, after I have beaten them, I wish they never ended.
Yeah.
Or I wish they never, like, in that regards. And that was like maybe a handful. I mean, I can recall a couple of games that felt like that. One of them being one of my favorite games of all time, Chrono Trigger.
Mm.
Another one being Persona 4 Golden and even like Persona 5 Royal, because when you spend a lot of time inside of one game world and everything clicks on all cylinders, the characters, the plot, the act, not just the acting, but the gameplay, everything else just felt fun, unique. And what you're telling me is you're having this moment now, similar to how you had Doom in 2016, where it's like it changed a lot of what you anticipated. This like anticipated in regards to how this game was going to impact you, because you knew, well, both you and I knew that God of War Ragnarok coming out this year, we knew it was going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no debating that. But hearing how like great of a game that is, not just from you, but like all this praise upon like almost every single person that has played it, even like predominant YouTubers, even though I don't watch the freaking like Ragnarok videos that they're showcasing, but even for guys like say like Moist Critical is like, man, this game is fucking amazing, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Just like all the YouTubers and so it seems like a commonality type of thing, like a major event has happened. And quite honestly, the last time we've had a gaming moment to where it's felt like a major event, in my honest opinion, has been Skyrim. Honestly, that's like the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. You know, when that released back then, I could attend it to like something like that. But
Yeah.
even earlier on this year, I could say Elden Ring was that
Yeah.
moment for a lot of people as well. But from what I'm getting from Ragnarok, everybody fucking loves this. It was just above and
Yeah.
beyond. But oh god, dude. Yeah, when you have moments like that inside of a game that you've spent so much time and effort into it, it's like it's on another level. This is the type of high on a fantastic, like amazing video game that few mediums go forth and achieve. Certain TV shows or something, maybe like movies or stories, like books or whatever the hell. Those type of mediums and stuff, yeah, you know, some of them will be fantastic, some of that, and then some will be the best of all time and stuff. But what makes it more beneficial for a video game is like you put so much time and effort into acting as the character, playing through all these different scenarios, everything is tested and stuff. And on top of that, it just feels like a Hollywood, it just feels like a major type of like cinematic production on top of it. It's
Yeah.
so immersive that it feels like it's top notch. Man, I just gotta admit, man, it's like I can't wait to start this game.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like, yeah, they nailed the landing. It's
Mm.
to me, it's like Avengers Endgame. You know, that was 20 movies and 13 years of build up,
Yeah.
and they nailed the landing. Breaking Bad, I think it was like 7 years of like one of the greatest shows of all time. They nailed the fucking landing. It's so hard to nail the landing. They did it. I mean, like, I was guessing, like, oh, well, you know, this is where it's gonna go. It's like, and that's always a bad thing, knowing where it's gonna go. But like, I had no idea where it was gonna go. It did not end the way I was anticipating it would end, and it still was 20 times better than anything I ever would have thought of. So, yeah, 20 out of 10. So I think Michael Huber from Easy Allies, he framed God of War 2018 as like, there's like a lot of, like, not a lot of games, but there's those games that get 10 out of 10s, and people will take it as like, oh, they're not perfect, whatever, like there's this and that. And no one's ever saying that 10 out of 10 is perfect. Like, yeah, there's no game, nothing is perfect. But Michael Huber from Easy Allies framed God of War 2018 as the perfect 10 out of 10. And to him, and this is to me the perfect 10 out of 10. Like, I have no real gripes.
Would you say though, Tyler, after playing God of War Ragnarok, does it make you look upon other games like that you've either played most recently or some, and just think like, holy shit, you know, it's like, how can I go back to playing some of these other games though when I've just experienced this? Like, it's almost like a mind frame change of how you now expect certain games to be.
I mean, Gables in like 6 days I'm going to be playing the new Pokemon game on 6-year-old
Yeah.
hardware. So yeah, That's immediately what I'm thinking of. Like, man, I'm going from this game running at a perfect at 1080p, 60 frames per second. You can do 30 and 4K, and there's 120 frames in there as well. To like, I'm gonna be playing the new Pokemon game that looks exactly the same as it did 6 years ago with Let's Go, but running worse. So yes, it's definitely it's everything's gonna be graded on a curve now from the God of War scale in the back of my head. But I will do my best to be as objective as possible. But yeah, it's definitely one of those games that's like it's set the generation, and that's the bar now. To like, I almost not set the bar, but that's like if you want to be in the pantheon. To me personally, like I know like Elden Ring's to that to a lot of people and whatever, but to me that's like if you can just get anywhere close to that conversation, like you're in like another you're an all-time level. Yeah, I mean what we're witnessing right now is like this is like I think this is a game changer for a lot of people, and I don't know what the studio with Santa Monica Studios is gonna do next, but They can remake the Atari ET game, and I'd be fully on board at this point with them. I did also buy the $200 collector edition on top of the digital edition and on top of the controller. I've got like over $300 invested in this fucking game now.
Probably every bit worth it though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean they deserve every fucking penny. I would have bought the Jotnir edition that was $260, but it was sold out everywhere.
Wow.
But I got. So it was supposed to arrive Friday, but I got delayed, so it's gonna arrive tomorrow. I just really want Thor's hammer. So yeah. But I mean Gables, as hard as to do. Let's move on. We are 46 minutes in to this podcast. So let's move on from some God of War talk to Nintendo talk. Nintendo sales update. We had a fiscal report for them. This is for Q2 of 2022. No, is it Q3? No, it's Q2 because we're in Q3 right now.
Yeah.
So all this information is as of September 30th. So Nintendo Switch has now passed over 114 million units sold. They were initially projecting to sell 21 million units this fiscal year. They're now dropping it to 19 million units. So, I mean, still, you're going to sell around 20 million units in year 6 of being on the market. That's still fantastic. But for the first time, it seems like we're seeing a decline in interest in Nintendo Switch. Animal Crossing New Horizon is officially the best-selling game in the history of Japan at over 10 million units sold.
Impressive.
Yeah, Splatoon 3 is the best selling is the best start ever for it's the fastest selling Switch game so far after it came out I think like September 9th or something like that, so only a few weeks on the market, but it's the fastest selling game on the Switch ever, and in just 3 weeks on the market it was at 7.9 million units sold. I believe it was 5.6 million was how many it sold in just Japan alone. It is so it will probably pass Animal Crossing New Horizons eventually, depending on the life cycle.
It wouldn't surprise me at all because Splatoon 3, man, it's been hyper popular not only just in Japan, but like there's still plenty of people that are just playing it routinely and stuff on the Switch Online stuff, including the new Splatfest thing that's going on currently. But it's like
Pokemon this weekend. God damn.
Yeah, it's Pokemon themed, dude.
Yeah. Why would you do it now? Fuck off. God of War's out.
I know, right? Right in the middle of Ragnarok.
Yeah. Fucking, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I'll be fine. But Splatoon 3 has more than doubled the launch of Splatoon 2. So, doing really good there. The only thing I think the reason it might not surpass Animal Crossing New Horizons for best selling is Animal Crossing still selling very well. Sold 750,000 copies last quarter. But also, and that's worldwide, not Japan. But who knows how long this Switch is going to go on for? You know, it's like when we get the Switch, so maybe that might drop it off there. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is at 5.27 million units sold. The best-selling Kirby game since the original Kirby on Game Boy. Who would have thought that was the best-selling Kirby game of all time? But yeah, it's now the best-selling Kirby game ever.
Well deserved.
Yes, it's a top 10 game for sure.
Oh shit.
Nintendo Switch Sports is now at 6.15 million units sold, selling very well for a game that just nobody talks about. I believe it sold over 1 million copies as well in the last quarter. So
I wouldn't surprise me.
that game came out like in April, so that's
It did.
well. Yeah. Mario Strikers Battle League is at 2.17 million units. That came out in June, so doing pretty good. That's about on par for the sports games do. I think I can't remember. I couldn't find the numbers, but the golf and the tennis game were kind of about the same as well. So I don't know
it's
whether
kind of normal for those type of Mario sports games.
they're kind of like, I mean, for any game, I think most games would be happy with selling that many copies, but for a Switch game, and then with the name Mario within the title, probably, I mean, they're doing really well over, like, I mean, that's outstanding numbers, but, and I think those games are made probably on the cheap as well for video games, so they're hard to complain. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3 at 1.72 million units sold, well past Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but there's been concerns lately that maybe it's not going to have the staying power of 2 had. So, but it's the launch it's the best launch ever for a Xenoblade Chronicles game. But I guess it
all depends upon the story expansions that they're going to be releasing later on, stuff like that. Because what gave the second game shelf life even beyond what it initially was is because they introduced the Toma expansion, which that one was satisfactory for a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles fans and stuff. I'm kind of feeling like this will be the same thing with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, to where, maybe petering off some bit, but 1.72 million copies sold. That's fantastic for a Xenoblade Chronicles game. Yeah. But on top of that, it's like we still have within the next year like another expansion that's going to be releasing and stuff. But man, it's amazing from where that franchise has came from. All of a sudden, the third entry, man, is just the best-selling entry.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like the heights of it. So, whatever. I mean, it seems like they're pretty happy with that. So, but next period, the Switch is the second best-selling console ever, only behind the DS. They just passed the Wii last quarter. They are now at 114.3 million. The PS4 is sitting at currently, and I think they're done with it, is 116.6 million. So they'll probably pass that this quarter.
Oh, they definitely will pass the PS4 in terms of lifetime sales.
Yeah, they're gonna for sure pass it. They'll probably, but I think they sold like a little over. It was close to 3 million units sold in the last quarter. So I mean, this is the holiday period, so they should pass it this quarter we're in currently.
I'll tell you what, though, it's like the bigger news coming out of that is like this Nintendo Switch has sold more than the fucking Wii in regards to that, and the Wii was huge back when it launched.
103 million. So
but the DS is at what now?
So the Game Boy is after PS4. The Game Boy is next at 118.69. But I think that's bullshit. I hate that number because they combine the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, and those are two different consoles. Game Boy Color had but they combined them together. It's bullshit. Game Boy Color had over 200 games for it, exclusive games, over 200.
Yes, there were.
That's a fucking different console with backwards compatibility.
There were plenty of Game Boy Color games that were not compatible to Game Boy, so they're different consoles.
The Xbox One or the Xbox Series X and S, like, well, we play Xbox games, so we're gonna keep adding it to the OG Xbox. Fuck off, Nintendo. No. It's bullshit. They're two different consoles. Quit combining numbers. Separate them. Fuck you.
That's exactly the point. It's like you have Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. All three of those were separate.
Well, Game Boy Advance, they do count separately, but they Game Boy, Game Boy Color, they count as one console, and I think it's bullshit. I will stand when I run for president. I'm going to stand on that. But I'm going to make this Japanese company do what I say. So the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, two different consoles, but combined as one, have sold 118.69 million units. So should pass them probably by the end of the fiscal year, so by March 31st. But moving on up here to the Nintendo DS, the second greatest hardware handheld and console ever, at 154 million units.
That was available everywhere when that first.
And they had like the DSi, and then they
dude,
kinda...
the DS Lite is the major reason why that DS brand became so popular, because when they came out with that initial thing, and then when the first year they dropped the price of that thing, and because of how slow it was doing sales wise and stuff like that, they had to do a quick 360 upon the damn thing, and then like about a year or two later they come out with a freaking DS Lite. People wanted to buy the DS Lite. So many great fucking games in that freaking library. Still own plenty of them to this day. But at the same point, if the Switch were even to get into second place, maybe like below to the DS, that is a fucking accomplishment there, because it's like, you're already surpassed most of their
the DS is second place behind the PS2.
Yeah.
At 155 million units sold. So right. I don't think they will pass that. Because if you think about it, they would need to do 2 more years at 20 million units, which...
Unless Nintendo were to do a...
Pro.
Not just a full-on... Yeah, like, say if they do, like, a Pro version of it, and everything is in regards to their innards and stuff.
It's one of those things where, like, they will combine it together. Like much like they do with the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, but if they do a Pro and they kind of just like
the Switch brand,
they just kind of keep the Switch brand growing, like that's not fair to. I don't think that if they kind of keep it going and if they do a Pro say next year, and then that's like the next thing for like 3 or 4 more years, they'll pass it. But to me that's like we're like at the Switch 2 at that point. Especially if they start getting like exclusive games like the 3DS XL did, when we start getting exclusive content. And
that's just the thing, man. It's like Nintendo doesn't have to do much in order to actually make this next iteration or something like that incredibly profitable.
We'll get to that. That's gonna be the next topic. But yeah, I think with where we're at now, it's definitely gonna pass. I mean, it's got 2 million units to go to get the PS4. It's going to pass that probably. It's probably already passed that. It's 4 million units away from the Game Boy. It'll pass that for sure, at least by March 31st. And I mean, if it got one more year in them, I wouldn't be shocked if like this current iteration of the Switch probably ends in the 130 somewhere.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm thinking it'll go. But Gables, we do have an updated top 10 list.
Okay.
That I want to show people. So. 1 second here. The new top 10. So we got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee at 14.81 million units.
Yep.
We have Ring Fit Adventure passing Pokemon Let's Go. It passed the Pokemon games.
It passed the Pokemon game
at 14.187 million or 14.87 million. What's weird is that, this blows my mind. The Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl remasters that came out last year that nobody liked, 14.92 million units sold.
They were still profitable, and there were plenty that enjoyed that game.
I don't understand it. Whatever. Super Mario Party, 18.35 million units.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Mario Odyssey at 24.4. I'm still stunned how far down that is. You think that would do so much better? Pokemon, but I guess 3D Mario games don't sell very well. Like, the 2D Mario ones are the ones that everybody wants. Pokemon Sword and Shield, 25.37 million units sold.
It is the most successful selling Pokemon game for consoles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And handheld.
Do you want to take a guess at what the previous best-selling game ever was in Japan before Animal Crossing: New Horizon?
Okay. Oh my God. This is going to be a wild shot in the dark here. Was it Red and Blue?
It was red. It was Red and Green.
Red and Green. That's right. Red and Green. Blue was Americanized up until they re-released that version in Japan, sometime later. But Red and Green. Pokemon Red and Green.
So you got the question wrong. So you said Red and Blue. So it's Red and Green. So fuck you, Gables. Breath of the Wild, 27. I'm kidding with you. Breath of the Wild, 27.79 million units. Smash Bros. Ultimate, 29.53 million units. So getting close to that 30.
Wow.
And Animal Crossing New Horizon, with like I said, they did 740,000 units sold last quarter. Got them in the 40 million club at 40.17 million units. And then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, sitting at 48.14 million, or 48.41 million rather. They somehow got like still sold over 1 million units last quarter. So it's just nuts. Like I thought, like they're slowly creeping. I think they're going to pass them because they're like for like the fourth year in a row, fifth year in a row. They're doing the Mario Kart bundle with the Switch, and that counts as sales.
Yes.
Which is weird because they give the game the game is free with the Switch, but they still count it. It's kind of like when they were like, oh, Super Mario Brothers is the highest selling game of all time. Well, yeah, because it came with the fucking NES. It doesn't count.
Kind of like with the Wii when that launched.
Yeah, they pushed the Wii Sports, sold over 100 million units. Fuck off. Okay.
It wasn't even. It was like years later, but when they finally sold it as a standalone thing for like about what, $20.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like shut up. No, it's not. But yeah, so we're. It blows my mind. Like I wish PlayStation and Xbox and like Ubisoft, Capcom was really good too. Capcom was really good. Like they break down everything too. But I wish the other big studios would do the shit, because I would love to like see the breakdowns of like how well these games do, because it's like, I mean, like I don't even know if like Horizon Forbidden West has sold over 10 million copies. And
I'll tell you what, I would love to see from like Sony or something like that, what is their top 10 best selling like games like of all time, like first party games.
Yeah.
In regards just the first party. I don't even care about the third party.
No, they only tell
things, the top 10 that have sold for you.
Yeah, I'd love to see the PS4 numbers to like the top 10. Like I want to know how much Uncharted, like we know like the Spider-Man games. We know like the first God of War and the Last of Us games have sold over 20 million units. And that's all we know. But like we know like Horizon Zero Dawn sold over 10 million units.
Yes.
I think Ghost of Tsushima is around 10 million units. So like I wish they would. I wish all the other ones, like I wonder how many. I want, especially now with Xbox with Game Pass, how many copies did you sell of Forza Horizon 5? Because that game was number one in NPDs the month it came out. So I want to see the numbers. I would love to see how many it sold now.
Every single Xbox owner.
Yeah. Well, but like I love that people actually went out and bought it. I'd love to see that number.
Yes.
Just fucking killing it. But Gables, let's move on. Speaking of killing it here, we have Shigeru Miyamoto. It did an interview recently.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the future of Nintendo and backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And this one quote stuck out amongst the entire conversation. He was talking about Mario movie. I don't know, who cares? I want to talk about this. Previously, software. This is a quote from Miyamoto himself. Previously, software development for dedicated video game systems was I can't talk. Previously, software development for dedicated video game systems was conducted in development environments dedicated to each hardware platform. This meant that those environments could not be brought forward when the hardware changed, and it would become impossible to play software release for previous hardware without making changes. So talking about backwards compatibility here. Saying it was impossible before. Now we're talking about it is possible. So here he says, continue on here. However, the software development environments have recently been gradually integrated. So generally speaking, it has become easier to implement an environment where software released for past hardware can now be played on new hardware. Having said though, I lost the quote. I was searching through it. So he kind of said that, oh, it's gone. I can't fucking find. I'm going through the whole interview here and I lost it. But he did in the interview. He mentioned that they want to like keep making creative new games, and like that's like kind of. I'm gonna try to find the quote here. But basically, he was talking about like the fucking god damn it, it's gone. Miyamoto, hit the wrong button. I apologize, people watching this right now. Oh, Jesus. I hit the wrong. I don't want to hear about the Mario movie. Who gives a fuck about that movie? All right. Video Game Chronicles, don't fail me. Okay. All right. Okay, here it is. All right, I'm gonna try that again here. Take two. In the past, we provided. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so here it is. In the past, we provided a service known as Virtual Console that allowed users to play older video games on new consoles with newer hardware.
Right.
As long as the hardware remained unchanged, those games could continue to be played. However, the publishing rights to video games are complicated, and we have said that we would only add titles after securing necessary rights. Of course, video games developed for dedicated consoles were created in different development environments for each console. As a result, when the hardware changed, development environment could not necessarily be reused, and so the video games that had been re-released on older consoles could not be played on the newer consoles without modifications. Recently, however, the development environment has increasingly become more standardized, and we now have an environment that allows players to enjoy older video games on newer consoles more easily than ever. However, Nintendo's strength is in, this is the part I was trying to find. However, Nintendo's strength is in creating new video game experiences. So when we release new hardware in the future, we would like to showcase unique video games that could not be created with pre-existing hardware. So acknowledging that, yes, it is now kind of the standard that backwards compatibility is the thing.
Yes.
But he's also going around it by saying, but we want to still create new unique things. And I'm already expecting Nintendo defenders. Justin's probably left a comment, or he's probably leaving a comment now based off the fact that I said that, defending, this. But what's up, Justin? I miss you. But I just, this is the thing we were talking about. We were kind of touched upon it with like where they go, and it's like it's so weird. This company is like, they look at Apple as kind of like an inspiration.
Right.
And they are like the least like Apple of the big video game people out there. Like you look at Steam, Epic, Xbox, PlayStation. They are using backwards compatibility more than ever. Like it's just like the Xbox is like the best at it of the between PlayStation and Nintendo. They're the best of the three.
With the least amount of backwards, with the least amount of like legacy backlog as compared to say like a Sony or a Nintendo and stuff like that, Yeah, like with PlayStation, like they're doing, like it's getting better with PlayStation, where like they've added like the premium thing, but you can't. Can you play? You can put a disc in? No. Nope.
Xbox, it's not 100%. No. But they have done a good job of like the 360 is all on there. The Xbox One is all on there. The games you care to play on the OG Xbox are on there. I was seeing that with PS5 with like it's just the PS4. It's just the PS4 store at this point. Everything's integrated. You pop it in. You know what it is. It's like this is the standard now. When I buy a new iPhone, I log in and it's exactly the same. It just runs better, and that's what I want. And I know Nintendo has. Not they made a lot of great games. Don't get me wrong. We just talk about how well all the games are selling, but a good chunk of their production and their money and all that comes from making us buy old games again.
Yes,
I mean people are literally paying $50 a year to play 64 games that they bought on the 64, and then they bought again on the Wii, and then they bought again on the Wii U. But then we get mad at PlayStation because they remake Last of Us Part 1 when we've bought the old Super Mario Brothers 9 times at this fucking point. I mean, they remade it for Super Nintendo. How many times we probably bought that game at this point, and now we're renting it through a streaming service on the Switch. And it's like, I mean, we look at the Switch, where it's like a good chunk of that, like the things that fill in the gaps. And I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I was a guy begging for a Captain Toad be brought to the Switch. And I bought it when it came out. I bought a lot of these games, even though I bought them on the Wii U, where it's like a good chunk of the games that are like kind of help fill in the gap and help this thing become is what it was, is they essentially had a lost generation to a lot of people, and they were able to resell us games on the Wii U at some of them a higher price than what they were on the Wii U, like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and put it on the Switch. And I know that's a big part of like that. I mean, it's not the biggest part of the business, but it's definitely a substantial enough part
Right,
of the
right. And you
business.
can have like specific type of arguments too in regards to that too. It's like with the Wii U and the Switch, like the portings and stuff like that. Well, I do agree with you though. It's like a lot of the initial re-releases of like specific like classic games and stuff Nintendo fans have eaten up over the years. I mean, hell, look at how many times certain like Nintendo fans have rebought like the same game multiple times throughout the past like 20 or 30 years. But in the case of like say The Last of Us Part 1 and stuff, that's an entire different like situation in of itself as well because well for one, game released around when it did and stuff near the end of the PS3 life cycle. PS4, it had its own like remastered type of things. Obviously, PS5, it's basically almost similar to like what Nintendo has done in the past in regards to some of like
Yeah, I mean
the
they
re-releases.
they literally re-released the entire Wii U platform on the Switch and then sold it to us at the same, if not more money. And those games
You
were more recent than Last of Us Part One.
you could also argue too that what 13 million users or something like that of the Wii U and stuff like that, whereas the vast majority of the people that have bought a Switch probably have never experienced that
Well,
those
whose fault is
games
that?
again.
Nintendo's fault for putting? Is that Sony's fault for putting on a platform people wanted, or is that Nintendo's fault for putting out a platform that no one cared about?
Uh, but at the same point, though, it's like it's quintessentially the same thing when it comes to the re-releases of specific classic games to where yeah, you know what, they can be unnecessary and some people hate going through and buy them, but at the same time people do buy them no matter what type of like a
Oh,
platform
I'm
is for.
not talking shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like degrade that because
No, no.
like I said, I bought a good chunk of those. But it is just like I just I don't I'm not saying he's like trying to warm his way around saying like
No.
that is like they're not doing it, but I feel like if they don't just make a Switch Pro or there's not a Switch 2, which I don't know how it's not a Switch 2 at this point because you can't break this up. You can't go back to a handheld console at this point.
No, they want to avoid going from Wii to Wii U in that regards,
Yeah,
but
but
from what
yeah.
Miyamoto has been saying and stuff like that, it's pretty much the same type of philosophy Nintendo's had all along from day one and stuff. He is recognizing that yeah, retro hardware like retro games and stuff like that, yeah, they do sell fairly well and stuff, and it's easier now to play them as ever before than like say initially taking those type of games and stuff from back then and stuff and try to adapt them in terms of like certain backwards compatibility stuff from back then. But at the same time, Nintendo's still remaining core to what they have been doing, which is like producing games that they want to do. The whole
Mm.
marching to the beat of their own drum in regards to a lot of their game development stuff, a lot of their hardware stuff, obviously. But I do agree with you. It's like they can't really drift too much past the Switch stuff since that it has been their best seller since that whole Wii
Yeah,
DS generation and stuff.
and people aren't sick of it, where it's like you look at where I mean, we talk about the Wii U, like they just kind of like they read the audience wrong in that one, where, um,
Mm-hmm.
like by after a few years of the Wii, like yeah, it was cool, but like by the time the end of the generation, like probably a little past the midway point of that generation, where it's like that motion stuff, everybody, for the most part, a lot of people were sick of it, especially like, and they kind of misread
Yes.
the audience, and they like, oh, okay, well, not only are we going to make a thing that kind of builds upon it, we're going to also call it that, but we're going to add the U at the end, Wii U, and they totally misread the audience on that one, and that happens. We look at the PS3, but this is a case where like, or like with the DS, where like the 3DS came out, and it's like they kind of, like I think the audience was still there for it, but like they didn't have the games and the price point, and at that point, and the 3D part just no one really cared about that. They I think
Yeah, it was a
the
gimmick that
3DS
hardly used.
the 3DS was really just the DS2. It's like we just really wanted a more powerful DS at that point, and that's kind of what we really want
Right.
here. Is just like the people aren't obviously we're talking about. If the console is probably going to sell near 20 million units 6 years out, 6 years on the market, and it's still going to sell 20 million units. Like, again, I mean, you look at how many consoles have probably done that at this point in any lifetime. Not many. It'd probably be more if COVID didn't happen and it was able to keep things in stock. So this is the thing where, like, I think the only gripes people have, and this is the only gripe I have, and I think a lot of the gamers I listen to, like at least in our like in the gamer bubble. I don't know about the, Joe Schmoes that just like they just like to play their games and don't really listen to podcasts, don't really know about the game world. Like, they go to the store and like, oh hey, this game's out, cool. Maybe they're happy with it. But I think for the more hardcore audience, where it's like, I don't want the Switch to go away. I just want my games to run better, and I just want a more powerful version of that. So if we just get the Switch Pro and you find a way to integrate it, and my games now run at 60 frames per second at the same graphic rate, if like Scarlet and Violet comes out and it just runs fine, and I can go to these open world areas or like I could play Kirby in the Forgotten Land and I don't put too much fire on the screen, so now the frame rate drops to 10. That's all I want. And now we're in this digital world where we were talking about the last year with the PS3 and the Vita when they were going to shut them down. It's like, I think it was over 1,000 games going to go away forever.
Yep.
They're just going to be lost. And it's like, how many games like when the Wii U is like gone forever? How many games are on there that are just going to be gone? Like, going to be just exclusive that we'll never see again. How many in the same?
Probably a fair amount.
Yeah, and it's gonna be even worse when the Switch comes. I think they said that the Switch during the last quarter, nearly 400 games came out on the Switch. Most of that was like digital, like smaller digital indie games. So imagine how many of those games are gonna be gone forever. So like, yeah, like I'm not like the big like historian of like keeping these games alive, but like I do think like now in this digital era where like I think it's now more important than ever to like do well by your customer base. If it's like, well, now I have all these games on here that are like kind of useless down there. Like I'm like, it's like now like, hey, well, at least when I have a PS5, it's like I was able to go back and just replay God of War last year.
Yeah,
it was like because I bought him a PS4 3 years ago now at that point. So I don't know. It's the standard now. And if I know Nintendo likes, like you said, go by the beat of their own drum, but I just don't think I think this is one thing that's like, oh, it's hard to do, but at this point, it's like, well, that's your job to figure out how to work around it. Because we could like talk about like people get upset about the PSVR 2 thing, or like how the PS3, like how we joked around last week about how they PS3 themselves again with that thing, and we ripped them for it, for that thing. But it's like we give Nintendo a pass for so many things, and it's like we all do. But it's like this is one thing where it's like at this point in at the point we are in video games now, where it's like this is the thing we can't give you a pass on. Like, yeah, maybe you gotta do some extra work, do it, but that's kind of your fucking job to figure it out, not my job. Like, just figure the fuck out. You guys can. It's your job to make it work for us, not make us carry around two different consoles to play your games because you guys can't figure out how the system works. And also, you're going to be using You're using NVIDIA chips. For the first time, you're sticking with the same chip, the same manufacturer to help make your new platform. So it's like probably going to be a lot easier to make that thing work. So, but Gables, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on to some other news this week, and then we will get out of here. So, a lot of smaller things going on this week. Not a lot of big stuff. It's like I said, it's pretty like God of War, Nintendo heavy week, but a lot of smaller stuff here. So, Ratchet and Clank, their 20th anniversary is November 15th. So, was that is Wednesday, and on the PlayStation Plus Premium, they're adding Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, Ratchet and Clank Deadlocked, Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction, all those games, and they're gonna be adding like, I believe for the what was the Rift Apart from last year's Ratchet and Clank game, they're doing some like free DLC you can download to celebrate the anniversary, and I believe that would make it so that every Ratchet and Clank game that was either remastered for PS3 or was on original consoles will now be available to play on the PS5. So kind of a cool way to celebrate anniversaries. I like that. So
yeah,
no, I was never a big Ratchet guy until the one in like 2016, was it?
Well, that's the thing though. The Ratchet and Clank games are pretty fun and stuff like that, but at the same point, the whole streaming of the PS3 stuff, it does affect plenty of enjoyment for some people in regards to like playing those games. But at the same point, it's like I'm glad that it's available for people to go forth and just play when they feel like it and stuff. I mean, for those out there that if you had trouble even streaming certain things like through this service or through like say Game Pass or wherever the hell and stuff like that, I definitely would suggest like just giving these games, if you do have the premium tier and stuff like that, just give them a shot, see if they work for you in that regards.
Yeah.
PS3, the whole friggin' non-backwards compatible shit. It's like
Yeah, we gotta stream it. Yeah, I hope that's like like I was saying with Nintendo with the Switch thing. It's like you guys kind of fucked that up. You guys need to figure out how to make that
yeah,
work. So
exactly.
hopefully eventually that happens, and like I'll be more amped to like go back, like go and check, maybe go up to premium tier to play some of these games. But I mean, it seems like it works fine. It's just I don't know. Yeah. But hey, that's I think that's a cool way to celebrate the anniversary. So I hope they, as more anniversaries come up over the next couple of years, I hope they continue to do that. Final Fantasy 16 will be a PS5 exclusive for 6 months.
Okay.
But I think no one knows for sure. It sounds like it'll be exclusive to PS5, and then I think the assumption is after 6 months it'll go to PC. No one really knows for sure. Like
that makes sense.
They had a 1 year thing with Final Fantasy 7 for PC. So I imagine, but like I heard that game, from what I understand, sold super duper well on Steam and Epic. Final Fantasy 7 Remake did. So maybe like Square Enix is like, well, how about we do 6 months instead of a year? So maybe that's what it is. But no, those games haven't come to Xbox yet. So I imagine I wouldn't be shocked. That doesn't mean probably don't get excited about this game coming to Xbox anytime soon. EA and Marvel signed a 3-game deal. So we already know that they're making that the Motive team that's doing Dead Space is making an Iron Man game next. There is that new studio in Washington State that is being headed up by the Shadow of War Mordor guy. He was like the head for that, the Monolith.
Right.
He is the guy running up. He's making a Black Panther game that hasn't been officially announced, but that's been the rumors. And the third game is they don't know what it's going to be yet. The idea, it sounds like, is that if Iron Man or Black Panther blows up and is really, really successful, then the third game will be a sequel to that. Next up here, Netflix is making a Gears of War live action movie and some animated stuff as well. So I was really excited about this until I saw the Netflix part, because the Netflix movies have not been great.
The live action ones have not been great. I'm kind of interested in seeing how the animated one goes because of how successful the Cyberpunk one was.
Yeah, like it seems like whenever they do like Castlevania and stuff like that, whenever they do like the animated stuff, it does, like, people love it. But yeah, it seems the problem is with the Netflix stuff is like they put a decent sized budget behind it, but it's like it's budgeted enough to like okay, this is made on a budget, but it's like they still put tens of millions of dollars behind it, but it's like some of that CG, some of the
dude.
Yeah.
It's like the live action stuff has been like really like a dumpster fire. Like there are adaptations of like certain anime or something like that, and the live action is being incredibly polarizing, incredibly terrible at the Cowboy
but I mean, it's
Bebop
like
one.
Witcher exists and it's people love it, so it's like it's not impossible. But yeah, just like the Resident Evil TV show, the live action show came out. It's like everybody kind of came out. It's like,
or even like the Halo one.
yeah. Where it's like that's probably the perfect thing. Where it's like, yeah, it got a good budget behind it, but it's like, man, it's like problem is like the way the expectations is for movies nowadays. It's like when you do a CG heavy TV show or movie, it's like there's a standard now. So and like Dave Bautista he's been pushing for a long time to be in a Gears of War movie, and after he announced this, he posted a picture of him dressed as a cog, which he's actually in Gears of War 5 as like a DLC character. I guess so with a New Day from WWE. So
freaking like Batista bomb, like Locust and stuff. That was my favorite part.
So if you could play Dom, that would be awesome. I think he'd be great as Dom. Someone said John Cena as Baird, and I think that's fucking brilliant.
You just have ruthless aggression era type of fucking wrestlers. It's like being inside Gears of War.
Yeah, I love the idea of John Cena as Baird in that movie. Next up here is apparently Call of Duty is going to be doing some premium like DLC or expansion next year for Modern Warfare 2. So they announced that Activision did say in like a quarterly report that there will be a new Call of Duty next year, but it sounds from Jason Schreier came out and said that there will not be like a new Call of Duty, but there'll be new content, like a new big so they're gonna do
Oh,
like
I see.
campaign expansion and like I guess they're remaking a lot of all the old maps from the first game, and they're putting that into the new one. So that's kind of the idea. No idea what that's gonna like price point wise. They'll probably charge $70 for it though. Next up, apparently there's a rumor out there that AEW Fight Forever will be a Game Pass Day 1 game. But AEW did tweet out and knock down any rumors, but
Well, it would sell itself, essentially. What better way to go forth and get a leg up on your competition by, putting the game on Game Pass and actually having a lot of people go forth and experience it?
yeah, I mean, like I'm saying this out of hopefulness because this is a game I was going to buy anyways, but if it's coming to Game Pass, great. But like I would definitely love it. Went there and yeah, I agree with you. Like this is they are the number 2 brand, and this would be a great way to WWE doesn't need to do anything to sell itself for the 2K games other than just not being broken and buggy. But like the AW, they need a boost, and Game Pass would be the boost that they need. So
absolutely,
I would love that. And last but not least, Gables, the Game Award nominees will be announced Monday morning. So
oh Jesus Christ, this is going to be hilarious.
So I think you and me next week I think the next week you and me will do a second podcast where we go through all the nominees and we give our guesses and what we think will win. Like we did the same thing last year. So I think
yeah, we did. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so I have no idea what's going to be. There's I think the only two, there's usually 6 games for Game of the Year. I think Ragnarok and Elden Ring will be the surefires, and I don't know, everything else is kind of up in there. Who's going to be the indie game that gets the nomination? I don't think there's going to be that It Takes Two surprise this year. I think it's going to be it's a 2-man race between Elden Ring and God of War. I think Elden Ring is going to win, but I don't know. I was trying to rack my brain earlier. I'm like, what could be the other 4 games? And I don't even know what that.
It'd be pretty hilarious if they actually introduced a category. It's best remaster.
I mean, yeah, you could probably do it. I guess so. Trying to think of the 6 games.
All right,
Horizon probably be 3. Maybe Bayonetta would be number 4.
All right. Well, we already know about 3 of the 6 right there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Bayonetta 3 would even be cracking.
I think a Nintendo game will get it. So it's either gonna be Bayonetta 3, Splatoon 3, or Kirby. That'll be 4. One of those ones will get it.
The biggest one in regards to the whole Nintendo stuff would be Bayonetta 3 so far because of.
Oh, Gables! I totally forgot to say I beat Bayonetta 3. What's funny about that? I'm gonna talk about Bayonetta 3. I totally fucking spaced it. I need to talk about Bayonetta 3. Let me put that in the time codes here. Bayo. Where are we at here? Give me a second here. I'm trying to do time codes. I beat Bayonetta 3, Gables. Game's awesome. I think it's unfortunate for me personally. It's gonna be that's gonna be that game that's kind of forgotten about a little bit. We're not forgotten about, but the impact of it doesn't stick so much because God of War Ragnarok released at 11 p.m. Tuesday night. I beat Beta 3 at 10:58. I'm not shitting you. So it was kind of cool. That was awesome. I love that game. I need to move on to immediately boot up God of War Ragnarok. No, that game chapter 12 alone of that game should just be a drug for how fucking crazy and hype and awesome and funny and all the best adjectives that I can't think of right now. Alone, that game should be a nominee for Game of the Year. if we could just put Bayonetta 3 Chapter 12 and Game of the Year for Game Awards, I wouldn't argue. Like it just deserves it for that. Like it's phenomenal. But I think it's one of those games that's kind of got sandwiched. It's just between Plague's Tale, Mario plus Rabbids, and then go right into Bayonetta 3, and then quickly spin that in to getting Ragnarok. It's just one of those games that kind of gets lost in the mix there. But that game is phenomenal. But yeah, Sifu. I think Sifu will probably be that like smaller indie style game that gets the like the indie game, you know?
I don't know if Sifu per se, I'm like
Maybe Stray.
Stray? No, I don't think Stray is going to be that indie game that's going to be coming through in that regards,
I
because
just
we
remember
did have
Trombone Champ.
That Trombone Champ, that'd be kind of hilarious. As far as indie games go and stuff, I mean, there's a couple of ones which I think that are going to be interesting to see, like say like Ollie World or Tunic possibly, but
Tunic was last year.
Actually, Tunic was this year.
Was it really?
Tunic was this year.
Oh man, it feels like 10 years ago I played that game.
I'm actually going through my games beaten list right here, and I'm trying to see if
I was just looking at like
games
kind of what I have written down, like games I played this year I've written down, and like yeah, I got. Man, I just feel like it's kind of top heavy this year. Strangers of Paradise.
Shit.
That's gonna win Game of the Year.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but there have been plenty of interesting indie games that have released this year. I mean, obviously the first two that pop on like the top of my head, is like Stray and freaking like not Stray, but like Stray, Tunic, Ollie World in that regards. But Jesus criminy, I have to go through freaking games that I've played this year that may have. Neon White. That's the one that I think is going to be it.
That Neon White's going to be the indie game that gets in.
It's so the only
that's 4
indie game that I have seen that's not like, say, predominantly exclusive to like, say, like Steam or whatsoever, that has been talked about in Obsessed because of how easy it is to go forth and play. It is a hidden gem on multiple different platforms, but I would say that it is definitely like a Game of the Year contender. And if any indie game comes out and stuff like that, I would most expect Neon White to be in that conversation.
Yeah. So we're looking at Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Neon White, a Nintendo game as the 5.
So are we talking about 5 or 6 games?
Well, there's usually 6. Not always, but there's typically 6. And I'm looking at our Fans Critic League right now, and I'm like maybe Plague's Tale Requiem, maybe.
Plague's Tale Requiem could be one of the ones.
I just feel like I feel like that 6th spot. I mean, it's just gonna be something random, probably. It's like Death Stranding was like the 6th game in 2019. It's gonna be some game we never thought of.
It could be one of the games that's predominantly like been popular on Steam. Who knows?
Yeah. So I think we got our 5 though for sure. That like, well, we got 4 and then we got a Nintendo game. But I feel like it's gonna be like it could be 2. We've seen 2 Nintendo games get in before. So we're talking about 2 PlayStation games this year. So I mean, 2017 they had Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. So. It's not impossible. Yeah,
and maybe this year's going to be like Bayonetta 3 and like Splatoon 3.
Yeah. I think the worst Splatoon will probably take like best multiplayer game or something.
That's true.
Yeah. But we'll do a normal show next week, and then we'll play by ear. We'll see if there's a lot to talk about. We'll do a normal show. If there's not, we'll just do one show.
Yeah.
As going through the nominees, and then we'll just what we've been playing and shit. So, but yeah, I think that will do it for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever. Please like, follow, subscribe. Look in the show notes down below. You'll see a description down there, and we'll be it has all of our Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called now. All those things, we're on it. Please like, follow, subscribe. If you're listening to us, please go to YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell. We're doing it live now, so it'd be great if you come and watch us live. Hit the thumbs up button as well, and share it. Share it. The more you share it, the more people get eyeballs on it. The more it helps us out. And if you're watching us live on YouTube, please go and check out. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts on. I guarantee you, we're probably on it. And download the podcast. Every time you download it, Gables like a little bit of money. So we'd appreciate it if you did that for us. But I was host. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, play God of War Ragnorak.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. I got no. I'm going. Yeah. And don't be sorry. Be better. Bye, guys.
See ya.